What's goody? Yo, what's good, my people? It's been a minute, but I'm happy to be here in front of your screens, sharing with you some more truth that I've been allowed and blessed to find over the past few years, man. Hope you guys doing all right, first and foremost. Hope everything's been okay with you guys. Hope you guys have been staying strong, because this life will test us, it will test us according to our weaknesses, our desires, and the lusts within our hearts. And we just got to do our best and staying strong in that, man, to the best of our ability. But yo, look, so for 8 days, a QR code will be required to enter the Parisian neighborhoods along the Seine, where the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games will take place. Now, this article is just an update in digital identification, um, digital shackles, digital chains, how they will use digitization and the the technocracy of our identities against us. So this article is titled France is leading Europe on the road to Chinese style population control. QR code required to enter certain quarters. So the 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 next Olympics will be held in France and more specifically Paris. So because of all the increase in population for that amount of time and all the tourists and visitors and anybody looking for or looking to watch the Olympic Games, they're gonna have to go through certain standards, certain requirements, which are ordained or officialized by the Parisian government in order for them to move about freely. Well, not so much freely, but to move about. And this isn't just for tourists and visitors. This is also for the locals living there as well. For a certain period of time, they're gonna have to use QR codes to travel within their own neighborhoods, within their own district, and within their own towns or villages or whatever. So the article continues. Soldiers will control the entrances as feared and predicted. The digital access card system practiced with vaccination cards will be made permanent. This clearly shows the totalitarian potential of non-traveler ID 2020 cash abolition, exclusively digital tickets for buses and trains, and of the global health passport as a travel document. What the Chinese government did during the corona to control the movements of the population in the big cities looked like something out of a dystopian science fiction. Everyone was given a health traffic light on their smartphone. If they had recently tested negative, it was green. If it had been too long since the last test, it was yellow. If they had tested positive for the coronavirus, it was red. Only those who could show green were allowed to enter the underground, shops, and in their housing blocks. Anyone who was yellow had to get to be tested, and anyone who was red was quarantined. And that right there is straight out of a dystopian sci-fi movie, man. That right there is prison. Um, so you see, like digitization will be our shackles. Digital identification will be our leash. You know, the system could also be used in other ways, and it was. According to media reports, the corona traffic lights turned red for people who wanted to travel to protest demonstrations against account freezes by ailing banks. Now, here's what bothers me about using the color code as a way to control movement. So, first of all, account freezing by banks that should be illegal, man. Because first and foremost, that is your money that you worked hard for. A bank should not have the power to freeze your account, unless, of course, you're some sort of heroin dealer or you're some sort of serial killer or serial rapist out on the loose. Other than that, man, you um should not freeze somebody's accounts for having different opinions than the masses. But of course, these people who were dealing with the government, the Rockefeller Foundations, the Rothschilds, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundations, they don't care. So dystopia comes to Europe. Soon, Parisians will be the first in Europe to wake up in this horror movie. According to French media reports, the French government has announced that from 1 week before the Olympic ceremony on 26 July, parts of the city along the Seine will be declared a district or a restricted security zone. This is because during the ceremony, the athletes are to travel on boats from the Pont d'Austerlitz to the Pont de l'Union. I don't know if that pronunciation was correct. I'm just messing around. And the government considers this exposed form of travel to be a high risk of terrorism. However, instead of holding opening ceremony in the stadium rather than on the Seine, as has always been the custom, it is instead organizing a large-scale population control exercise. Interior Minister Giraud Dermenin said. The 20,000 residents and the 200,000 people who usually visit these neighborhoods during the summer must register on the platform, which will be set up on 10 May. People who've been checked and deemed sufficiently safe will then be issued with a QR code that will allow them to pass the control posts as the entrances of the security zones. 5 corridors will be set up for pedestrians and drivers of vehicles wishing to cross the Seine and the security zone, allowing them to do so without prior notification. The military will make sure that they do not leave the corridors. In addition to the police, 18,000 French soldiers and additional foreign soldiers will guard the entrances to and passages through the security zones and check the QR codes. A military contingent is coming from Poland. Otherwise, the media only talk about several nations sending soldiers without naming them. And who knows, man? Like once this starts, what if it doesn't go away? What if they decide to keep them, or they somehow come up with an excuse to slowly implement this form of control even further? The application of the known traveler concept. Assange was also the author of the controlled dystopia, The Known Traveler Digital Identity, on behalf of the World Economic Forum. The lobby of the largest multinationals in collaboration with U.S. Homeland Security and other partners, the concept was developed and trialed at several airports from the beginning of 2018. And I believe I spoke about this in, 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 in some of my earlier videos about vaccination passports, or some airports, especially here in the United States, already accepting digital identification. It is clearly the model for what is planned for Olympia in Paris. Anyone wishing to pass through a checkpoint has to register in advance and provide the required information about themselves. They are checked in advance and are allowed to pass through the checkpoint if they are recognized as a person who was cleared in advance. A manager from Google, Rob Torres, made it clear in the Known Traveler report that this is not just about checking whether someone is on a blacklist, it's also about technology companies having made major strides in data mining, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, enabling enhanced predictive analytics. In combination with passenger provided information, these technologies can be used by governments to analyze complex partners and big data with the goal of predicting border security risks. Thus, it may well happen that one is rejected and has no idea why, because the computer program has calculated a high risk score based on factors such as origin, home address, travel activity, oppositional tendencies, religion, etc. Um, Kind of sucks thinking that if a computer, for whatever reason, decides to reject you, no human, no person could go against that. like an absolute technocracy relying on technology and computers for governing ourselves. All right. So digital health passes for traveling. The digital vaccination cards and test certificates that served as a pretext for setting up the infrastructure for controlling access to public places and venues have not been conceived in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak and developed in record time, as we are led to believe. Rather, they were prepared at EU level from at least 2018. In November 2022, the heads of the government of the 20 most economically powerful nations, the G20, decided to make digital passports a permanent requirement for international travel. In June 2023, the WHO took control of the EU vaccination passport infrastructure with the stated intention to establish it as a permanent model for global travel. They will probably introduce it when the next pandemic is declared and then never abolish it again. So, all these projects and what is now being trialed in Paris make it seem plausible that the concept of 15-minute cities, which has been implemented in many municipalities in England in particular, can also be categorized in this context of restricting mobility for the population. Proponents of the concept declare this to be a crude conspiracy theory. Part of the concept is that direct road connection between neighboring city districts will be closed. It should only be possible to leave the neighborhood via one or few roads. Damn. Preferably to get onto a ring road from which you can then reach the access road to another neighborhood. This is intended to help the environment as residents should be able to do everything in their own neighborhood wherever possible. That's like a prison neighborhood, though. Freedom of mobility of travel is part of the reasons why weekends are so good and fun because you get to go out and explore new neighborhoods, right? However, they have not started by setting up the respective services and infrastructure, but rather by closing the connecting roads. So, what is planned in Paris certainly sheds a special light on the mobility surveillance measures that are spreading in Germany and other countries. On local public transport, you can often no longer pay with cash, but only with a card or mobile payment app. Thus, it will be registered and stored where everyone buys their tickets or even which bus or underground train they get on and off. As recently reported on this blog, Dutch Bahn is gradually abolishing all options for traveling by train without being monitored. Thanks to a law passed by the EU Commission under the pretext of accident prevention, cars must be connected to the internet. Damn, you see that? You see that? Pretty soon now, since these cars are connected to the internet, you won't be able to start your car without digital identification. So if you do reject this new regime or this new form of control, that's it. You're limited in your ability to make money, your ability to own a business, your ability to receive healthcare, you know? And before you know it, you're a prisoner of the state. Thus, this means that all car journeys are also monitored and stored. They're tracking you, man. They're tracking you everywhere you go. They're tracking you everywhere you go. In most cases, it is also known who was driving, as the car's computer often determines this, and very often, the smartphone is connected to the car's electronics. Imagine being snitched on by your own car, bro. Being snitched on by your own car. Imagine you running off to for a sneaky link with your side girl, and your girlfriend actually checking the car's history, or just straight up the car sending your girl a text message telling her where you at. Oh man, what a time! What a time! Um, there's a conclusion below for the rest of the article, but I'm not sure about how relevant it is. So I'm gonna end off this update in our digital leash here. This was just a short update for you guys, just to keep you updated on some of the things that are happening and some of the things that continue to happen when it comes to digitization, man. You guys keep keep being observant, keep researching, keep trying to look out for what's going on around you. And if you find anything cool, man, hey, drop 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 something in the comment section. I'm not sure if YouTube has DMs or private messaging. If it does, man, send me some articles, some websites that you guys like to look at. I'm always looking for truth. And I hope you guys too. You guys are too. So yeah, thank you for listening to me another video, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next video, man. I'm gone.